Welcome to Library Trust YouTube channel. In today's class, we'll be learning how to make this beautiful Keyhole Bubu Kaftan with turtleneck neckline. So the neckline has a bishop collar and it is a free gown and also very simple to make. It is beginner friendly. This is what you like to learn. Kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So to make this bubu is quite simple. The style there is the difference is that it has like a turtleneck line and it has a collar, a bishop collar, and also it has a keyhole, like a keyhole at the center front here. So now the measurements you need is the length, the full length of the dress, and also the measurement from your center back. So let's say this is your center back, so that measurement from your center back through your sleeve all the way to where you want the sleeve to stop. So if you want the sleeve to stop on your elbow, you stop that measurement on your elbow, and if you want it to go beyond, so I just want it to go beyond a bit, so I'll be measuring it there, and I have 25 inches for that, including my allowance. So now for the two, remember this is just one side of the body, you need to take for the other side of the body, which should be the same thing. So 25 inches here, 25 inches here, that's going to be 50 inches for the front and then 50 inches for the back. So you need like 100 inches to get this. So I folded this like this. I have 50 inches like this on fold, one for front, one for back. Then I'm going to put it on fold again to have 2 for front and 2 for back. I hope you understand that. So now the next thing is for me to take my measurements. I remember that I said this is a turtle neckline, so your neckline measurements should not be too wide. So for the neck depth, I'll be using 3 inches. You can use 3 inches or 2¼ but this is for a big size, so I'll be using 3 inches for the width. For the depth, I'll be using 3 inches for front and 1 inch for back. So the back is going to be 1 inch while the front is going to be 3 inches. And then using my cuff, I'm going to connect that. So after taking my neck measurements, now the next thing I'll do is to go to this other hand here. Then I'll take my shoulder slope. So here I'm going to take a shoulder slope of 1½ inches here, and then I'm going to take my ruler and connect it to my neckline. After connecting this to my shoulder slope, here I'm going to take my round sleeve measurement. So the round sleeve measurement should be taken where you want this sleeve to stop, which is around here for me. So that measurement is, and it shouldn't be too tight, for me is around 11 inches. So I'll divide that by 2 and it's going to give me 5½ inches. So instead of dividing it by 2, remember it's like this. So I'm not going to be dividing it by 2 because I'll be adding this elastic to gather it back. So I'll just measure the 11 inches straight like that. So by the time I go make it round, it's going to be 22 inches. Okay, so I measured 11 inches now, and I'm adding 1 inch allowance to it, same allowance, so that's 12 inches there. So the excess that I'm going to have there, and if you even want it more, if you want your sleeves to be more voluminous like a balloon sleeve, you can also add more to it. So the next thing now, so that I can create, remember I need to create a casing for my elastic so that I can have enough allowance to do my casing. On this point I'm going to come out by 1½ or 2 inches. So I think 2 inches is fine, and then I'm going to give it a smooth curve, and then I'm going to take it down straight like that. Okay, so you can measure it, but if you can eyeball it, it's also fine. So I'm taking it down straight. Okay, so I've taken the measurement round now, and then I'm just going to curve my hand. So I just took it straight down, and that is all the measurement you need to take. So like I said, here I'm going to be having a keyhole neckline here. So at the center front here, I'm just going to go down by maybe ½ inch or 1 inch where my neckline measurement stops, and then there I'm going to draw the shape for my keyhole. So I'm just going to, I want the keyhole to be like 3 inches long, 3 or 3½ inches, but remember by the time you turn it out. Okay, so let me go down by 1 inch because we are still going to hem it and it will become wider. So here I'm going to measure 3 inches for the arm, for the keyhole, and then I'll find the midpoint of 3 inches, which is 1.5 inches, which is here. So after finding the midpoint there I'm just going to move out by 1 inch, and then I'm going to connect it from this point to the 1 inch and back to this point. Okay, you can do it in a circular form or in an oval shape, depending on whichever one you choose to work with. Okay, so now the next thing is for me to cut this out. So remember, there is no keyhole at the back, and the back neckline is also different. So I'm going to be cutting out the back first, then I'll remove the back so that I can cut out my front. But before I do that, I'm going to cut the one that they have in common, which is the shoulder and the sides. So after cutting all that, I'll remove it. So the side has been shaped, as you can see, and this is what the neckline is looking like. So I've also cut out the neckline. I'm just going to remove the back now. I'll just open this up and then remove the back. But before I remove the back, remember this is like a turtleneck neckline, so I'll be opening the back up a bit. So here I'll just open it at the center front by maybe 4 inches. Okay, so that the head can pass through it. So this is around 3 inches or thereabouts. Okay, so this is 3 inches, so I'm opening it up by 3 inches. Then I'm going to remove the back. So now I will shape out my neckline for the front and also shape out the keyhole design that I have there. So now I'll take my scissors and then I'll cut out the neckline. Then after cutting out the neckline, I'm going to cut out this keyhole design. Okay, so when you open it, this is what the front is going to look like. You can see our neckline and you can see our small keyhole. So for the keyhole, you can either cut a facing for it, okay, or you use your bias depending on what you want to use. So if you want to cut a facing for it, you're just going to put it on fold like this. So after putting it on fold like this, you fold another fabric, a fresh fabric, and then you put it underneath it, while the fold point is going to match up with the fold point that you have here. So after putting it underneath it like this, you cut out this shape and then you cut out a length. Let me see if I have enough fabric. Okay, so I'm putting this fabric underneath it like this, and then when the fold point matches each other like what I have here, I'm going to trace out exactly that shape that I have here. You can hold this with a pin if it's shifting, or anything that you know can hold it well for you. Okay, so I just shape this out. Then after shaping it out, I can remove it. So after removing it, I just measure like 1 inch or 1.5 or 2 inches, depending on what you want to use as your allowance there. And then I'm going to cut it out. So I have this as my facing. You can measure this, but I'm just eyeballing it. So I have this as my facing. Now if I open this now, I'm going to place it on it, right side facing right side like this. Then I'm going to sew it round. When I sew it, I'll tuck it in, and then I'm going to either use an hemming gum to iron it down so that my seam line will not be showing. But if you mind your seam line, if you don't mind your seam line showing, after turning it out, I'm just going to hem it inside round like that. But instead of this, you can also use a bias if that is what you want. So after doing that, now I'll bring my front and back together. I'm going to sew it on the shoulder. Then after joining it on the shoulder, I'm going to join it on the sides. Then I'll bring it back to show us how we are going to create casing for the elastic and how we are going to cut out the bishop collar that we're going to be attaching to this. Okay, so now I've turned the neckline, the keyhole like I said, and you can see how it is looking on the right side. You can see it's looking clean, and here you can either hem it in by folding this over and sew it round, or you put an hemming gum here, by the time you must have serged these rough edges, then you iron it so that it can lay flat, then you will not be having any seam line on the right side. Also, I went ahead to sew it on the shoulder and on the sides. Then I turned this so that I can pass my elastic casing through, my elastic through here. Okay, so I'm here to turn the other side, and I just want to show us that the main reason why I went in by 2 inches here, I hope you can see this, is just so that I'll have this enough allowance for me to turn my elastic like this. So I'll go ahead and turn the second elastic, and then I'm going to pass my elastic to it. So the elastic I'm passing, I'm just going to be placing it around that place that I want to, depending on how tight you want it to be. And then I'm going to be cutting 2 of these, then I'll pass it around my elastic casing. So I've added my elastic on both sleeves. The next thing to do now is to create a collar for this, and to do the collar I just need to take my measurement around this neckline. Okay, so the measurement I have around the neckline is 17 inches for both front and back. So I have 17 inches like this, and I'll be drafting it on the paper so that we can see. I just want to put some spaces above it so that I'll have enough space to do my allowance when I finish drafting my collar. So 17 inches divided by 2, because this side is going to be cut on fold, is going to give me around 8.5 inches. Okay, but this collar is going to be extended because I'm still going to add maybe a press button, so it's going to be lapping on each other. So I'm just going to be taking like 10 inches including allowance. So I have 10 inches here, and then I'm going to make it into a straight line. So the width of the collar, I want it to be 2 inches width, 2 inches wide. So 2 inches there, and then on this other side I'm also going to measure 2 inches. Then I'll also make that into a straight line. So remember that I have from here to here to be 10 inches, so I'm going to divide that by 2 for both front and back, and then I'll have 5 inches. I'm just doing this. You can measure your front separately and your back separately depending on what you want to work with. So this side is going to be my front, and this is going to be my back. Okay, so because the neck, you can see this is too straight, because our neck is not straight, is a bit curved. So to have that curvy effect at the front side here, I'm going to go up here by ½ inch so that I'll not have any shortage for my 2 inches. Here also I'm going to go up by ½ inch on the down part. Okay, so now I have my new line coming like this. So the next thing, let me use another color of marker. The next thing I'm going to do is to connect this to this place. So I'll just find the midpoint of this to be 2.5 inches, and then using my slightly curved side of my ruler, I'm going to be connecting this together with my ½ inch, with the new ½ inch that I have there, and then I'll connect it also here. Then I'll smoothen it out so that I have something like this. So this now becomes my new collar, and then this side will be cut on fold. Okay, so that I can have the two sides together. So before I cut it now, I'm going to be adding ½ inch around it. That's why I left this space up here. Okay, so now I've added my allowance. Remember I said the 10 inches is including my allowance, so I'm not adding allowance on this side. Then I'm going to cut this out. Then I'll cut 2 of these, and then that other side here is going to be on fold. So this is the upper part, the one that is going to lap to the neck, and this is the one that we're going to be, the side that we're going to be sewing to our dress. So this is the color that I'm working with. Now I'm going to cut it on my main fabric. Okay, so I've cut it on my fabric now, and as you can see, it's cut on fold. So we have this now. I don't know why this is becoming sharp like this. It's not supposed to be that sharp, but the scissors is not sharp, so I'm just going to try to throw it. Okay, so I have this, and you can see that it is not too straight, it's a bit curved. So here now I'm going to sew it on the upper part. I'll close it here, and then I'm going to sew it to my dress on this lower part. Then I'll bring it back to show us what we have. Okay, so the collar has been fixed now, and this is what the how gown is looking like. You can see how lovely this is looking. It's really beautiful and very simple to make. It doesn't require too much sewing. And this is the keyhole neckline. You can see that it is neatly finished. I decided to just iron hemming gum to it because I don't want any seam line around here. And this is my collar. So for the collar at the back, I remember I added allowance to it, so I'm just going to be fixing like a hook or something here. Then I finish this side also with a bias. So I'm just going to be fixing my hook or whatever it is I want to use to hold it there, so that it can hold the neck in place for me. We needed that so that the person's head can enter into it. Remember, it's a turtleneck line. But this is looking beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for watching till this point. If you enjoyed this, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.